Which Spurs players should we keep, sell or loan this summer? I'm going to give my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. First up, Guillermo Vicario. I think this is an easy sell for me, to be honest. I think he was great the first season under Ange, and I just think it's gone slightly downhill ever since then. And this year, you know, is a big fall off of a cliff, and I think we need a new number one. It's the time to move on, and I think Ski did well stepping into the spot in the last few games, but I still would eye up a new number one in the summer. For now, Vicario is a sell. Radu Dragusin, again, is another sell for me. He's just someone that I had really high hopes for when we first brought him in, because I think he won Young Defender of the Year in the Serie A, potentially. Don't quote me on that. But also, when he went to the Euros after we signed him, he looked incredible for Romania. So I thought, oh my God, we've actually got a player on our hands. And unfortunately, I just don't think the pace of the Premier League is right for him. There's moments where he's just been caught out a bit too slow, just not really the level we need. So I think it's time to move on and target new centre-backs. Kevin Danzo, I absolutely would keep. I think, in my personal opinion, he is probably the best backup centre-back we have had in a long time. You know, even when we had like Jan and Toby, like the backups, like what was it, Dyer and then Sanchez, like they weren't great. And I think every time Danzo has stepped in, he has been extremely solid, bar maybe the odd few mistakes here and there, like the Brighton game. But for the most part, I think he's been an extremely solid sort of backup rotational centre-back. So I think we should definitely keep him. João Palhinha, now I'm going to include him, even though technically he's not a Spurs player, but it's because it's a wide conversation about midfielders for us. I'm going to say not to keep him. I know that might be a bit controversial. I think the midfield needs a big overhaul. We're missing so many technical players. Like, I don't think we've got enough of that in our midfield and in our squad in general. I know Palhinha is amazing at like tackling. He's like amazing at one specific thing, but I think when you're aiming to be a high possession side, which we will be under De Zerbi, let's be frank about it, I just don't see spending 25 to 30 million making sense when we can put that towards a top midfielder that will play the way that we want to. Just that's my personal opinion. I think I'd much rather target the likes of a Wharton or even like an Alex Scott or someone like that I think has the potential to play this football that we want to play much better than Palhinha does. So whether you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below. And that reminds me, make sure to subscribe. I was working on this massive project for Red Bull that just went out on Friday, the Ultimate Football Challenge with Klopp, Neymar and co. So I've been so busy the last few months, I've kind of neglected this channel. So if you could like subscribe or even just leave comments just to show a little bit of love, and I'm going to make sure the consistency is back this season, I promise. But we move on. Xavi Simons, easy keep. I mean, I know he's injured anyway, so we weren't going to sell him, but he's just someone I would always keep. Like, he's one of the few technically good players in there. I think he will slowly adjust into the Prem. I think it's annoying he got his injury because I think he would have kickstarted the next season well. However, either way, no matter whether he was injured or not, easy keep. Ifa Suma. Now, this is a little bit of a weird one because is his contract ending, or I think we've got the option to trigger another year. I think it's time to move on. I'd put him in the sell category or letting go category, whatever you want to call it, because I think, again, like I said, the midfield makeup needs to change. He was a player that I really liked and was very happy with at the start. I thought he could play well under pressure, which is something that was very much underrated. But again, look, he's barely been a part of the team for the last year or two, or year and a half, should I say. So I think it's time to move on and get some other midfielders in. Next, Richarlison, R9. I think it's a sad time to move on from Richie, and I would sell him. Look, I love his character. He's obviously our top goal scorer of the season, and that would mean we've technically sold our top goal scorer for the fourth time in a row. Kane, Son, Johnson, and now Richarlison. So it looks like we'll continue the pattern, but I think, look, as much as our midfield does, I think our front line needs an overhaul as well, and that includes the strikers, which is the toughest market right now. But I also think he wants to move on himself potentially as well and go back to Brazil or maybe even back to Everton. And I think we just need to look for something different now. And I know he's managed his injuries better this season, but it's always a concern in the back of your mind that he might miss half the season through injury going forward. And I think we just need to move on and bring in a new number 9. But thank you, Richie. I'm going to miss your TikToks, and you are a brilliant character of the dressing room. I just sadly think it's time to move on. James Maddison, easy keep. I think his character encapsulates everything it means to be Tottenham Hotspur, and just the way he speaks. And he looked so much better. We looked so much better when he finally came on the pitch those last few games. And he's just someone you cannot not have in your team. Keep. Matisse Tell. This one is going to divide a lot of fans, but I personally would keep, and I've stuck to my conviction since the moment we got him on loan in the first place. I personally believe in his raw talent, and I think his ability to shoot on the edge of the area, I think, is phenomenal. And let's be fair, he's come up with some few clutch moments, scoring against Man United at home, and there's been other games where he actually changed the game. I think, was it Newcastle away, he changed the game. Like, there's been moments where he's actually started to look good once he got consistent minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things to iron out. I think his decision-making can be a bit tough sometimes. He doesn't know when to release the ball right. He's got that greedy striker instinct about him, which can be good and bad depending on the situation. But when we look back to someone like Son, for example, when he had his first season at Spurs, he was diabolical. He wanted to leave, and Poch convinced him to stay. And I think we can all get caught up in this whole thing because there's like the Lamine Yamals of the world who are just like insane at 16 years old. We just assume that every young player has to be like it by the time they're 20, 21. And I don't think that's the case. For me, I think he is, is way more mature beyond his years compared to any other player sort of around his age. And I think he just needs the coaching around him. I do honestly, genuinely believe there is a player there. Do I think he should be starting week in, week out? No, probably not. We definitely need to sign a new winger. It looks like it could be Savinho. But he is someone I definitely would keep around and develop under an attacking manager and have a bit more consistency, because his time at Spurs has been so inconsistent with manager changes, style changes. Just look, keep him, see how he develops under De Zerbi. If it doesn't work this season, then we can move on. Destiny Udogie, easy keep. I think we're not going to find a much better left back right now than Destiny Udogie, and there's just absolutely no reason to move on from him. I'm going to bundle these next two together because the talking points are kind of similar, and that's Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. And there's been a lot of talk online about loaning them out, selling them. I just don't personally understand it. It's similar to the Tell situation. Everyone just expects them to be world-class by the age of 20 now for some weird reason. These are two of the best youngsters that we have at the squad, and even De Zerbi himself said that he sees Gray as the future captain of Spurs. And I think people are a bit warped about it because he dropped them at the end of the season, but that wasn't really to do with them. It was more that we were at a crunch time relegation battle, and De Zerbi favoured more experienced heads in Bentancur, Palhinha. I think their talent is immense. There's a reason why Barcelona wanted Bergvall. There's a reason why top clubs liked Archie Gray as well. And I really think they can develop into quality players. And also, the other major reason we can't sell them is because next season, as in the following season, they will become club trained. So when we get back to Europe, and I am saying when we get back into European football, we are going to want them around to have the best squad planning possible. So they're not going anywhere. So I'd keep both in keep. Next up, Christian Romero. This is a sad one for me because I love Romero and I love the standards he holds the club and what he said to the owners and this, that and the other. But I think this is the season we sell Christian Romero. I think it's, again, nothing to do with his ability or anything like that. I think he's a great centre-back. But there's just sometimes where you need to move on from a player. I think he wants to move on, potentially try out La Liga. And I think, with the links to Van Heckel already, I think it's almost a given that Romero's not going to stick around. But I think what Spurs have been really bad at in the past is selling players at the right time. And I feel like this is the right time to get a decent bit of money from Romero, put it into getting a Van Hecke, maybe and use some of the funds to get another player as well. Not centre-back, like towards another player in a different position. And I think we move on and potentially make, Mickey or Maddison captain. But I want to thank Romero because he's been phenomenal the last few years. I've really enjoyed him at the club, except for the times when he's injured. And I think that's another issue as well. When your captain and star centre-back is injured as much as he is, it becomes a bit of an issue. So no, I think it's the right time to move on. Sell Romero, move on to the next centre-back. Next up, Dom Solanke, and this is it's annoying because if the striker market wasn't so bad, I would say potentially sell him as well as Richarlison. I don't think Solanke has reached the heights I thought he would. I think that season at Bournemouth when we signed him, he was brilliant. He was scoring all types of goals, and I think his time at Spurs so far the last couple of years has been just injury plagued. And I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think he has the attributes to be a De Zerbi striker. There's just such big question marks about whether he actually is available week in, week out, and also, is he hungry enough for goals? There are some strikers you see are so hungry for goals. I think his strengths more relying in the link-up play and his pressing ability, which, again, for De Zerbi, fantastic, but he needs to be hungry for goals in and around that box. I think we're going to give him potentially one more season under De Zerbi, see if he can mould him into the striker that he wants, and most importantly, stay fit. We haven't got European football, so if he can stay fit week in, week out, I actually think he could have a decent season, but there just also aren't many options in the market. So I think it's keep for at least one more season and see how it goes. Hamid Kudus, do I even really need to say it? Easy keep. He's going to be our right winger. So yeah, Enough said. Move on. Oh, Dejan Kulusevski. Oh, man, this is tough because I love him to bits. He was one of my favourite players since we brought him in. But who knows what's going on with him? I mean, it's not tough. It's going to be a keep. Let's be realistic. We're not saying to sell or loan out Kulusevski. What's more annoying is that is he even going to be available to be in the squad next season? I mean, that's probably a conversation for another day. Dejan Kulusevski, keep. I just hope and pray that he actually can play football for us again, because the whole thing has just been a mystery and bizarre, to be honest. Conor Gallagher is an enigma for me because I don't understand why we signed him in January. That's not the type of midfielder we needed. We needed a deep line playmaker, especially when we had Frank at the time. Like, we needed someone that can build from deep, pass from deep, help with build-up play, and he cannot do that at all. His best position is a number 10 and pressing from number 10, but he's not even necessarily creative in that aspect. It's more about the fact that he's just better further up the pitch, pressing, trying to win the ball back, which he did phenomenally at Villa. Do not get me wrong, he did that so well at Villa, but with our squad at the moment, in the number 10 position, we've got Maddison. Kudus can play there and has played there in the past. And to be honest with you, I think De Zerbi will play in there in the future. We've got Xavi Simons when he comes back from injury. I mean, even Odebeck can play there, but you've got Mikey Moore coming through the ranks that seems to play better as a number 10 than on the wing. So, and I don't see him being a number 8 or 6 either under De Zerbi, because those roles are all designed around third man runs and build up play, and I just don't think he's secure enough under pressure. We're not going to sell him. That's the reality, but this is my list, and my personal list would say if we could sell Conor Gallagher and that would help fund a Wharton, help fund maybe a Morgan Gibbs-White. Again, I know he's a number 10, but at least he's a number 10 that provides goals and assists on a consistent basis and would be a huge upgrade technicality-wise in our midfield. I think you go and do that. I can't see it happening, but this is my list. I'm going to put him in sell. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Porro, easy keep for me. I cannot even believe this was a conversation online that we could potentially sell him to Man City or Real Madrid. I think since he's come into the Premier League, it's only been him and Trent at the top when it comes to attacking contribution. He has been phenomenal in that aspect. And I know people will claim that his defence is not that great. And yeah, it's definitely an area that could work on. But you can deal with that with the rest of the squad makeup, whether that's the rest of the defence, covering him, or the number 6 drops in and covers him like Paulinho has done recently, and then allows him to go forward and create and be his best. I think under Thomas Frank, he was asked to be basically as far back as the centre-backs, and it just didn't favour him at all. But I think it's a no-brainer for me, keep. Jed Spence, another one I'll just keep. What's the point in selling him? You're just going to end up buying another backup right back. Fingers crossed for him. He has a good World Cup for England. But yeah, for me, it makes no sense to sell him. Odebear is the next one. He's out till Christmas, so we won't, sell him anyway. But he wouldn't be for me. Even if he was injury-free, I would keep him and keep. Oh, Pat Matasar, this is definitely one that's going to hurt. I love him. I think he's such a good character. And there's been times where I think he has been so good. Like I remember there was a West Ham game at home. He came on and completely changed the game. But we've had him for a few years now. I do think our midfield needs a whole shake-up. And out of all of the youngsters and other players available, like Gray, Bergvall, etc., I see more value in keeping the other two. And I do think we need to get some new profiles in. And unfortunately, to do that, I think we're going to have to sacrifice a few midfielders. And I feel like Sarr's one of them. Bentancur. Oh, how my opinion of him has changed. And I'm sure some of you as well. Because at the start of the season, I would have said absolutely sell. But it just goes to show what difference a manager makes. Under Conte, I thought he was phenomenal in terms of his build-up play. But like the automations that Conte would set for his players, because you had to be very strict in his sort of system and how to play. But it made him shine. I thought he was great under Conte. And then, unfortunately, just got injury plagued. Under Frank, he was diabolical. And back then I was calling for us to sell him and never play him again. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? You can clearly see it's because of the fact that Frank had him playing as a deep line playmaker, which is just not what he's good at all. He's not going to spray balls long or like this, that and the other. I think since De Zerbi's come in, he has been one of the better players by far because he's really secure under pressure. And when you're doing these third man runs and passes, I think he's someone that if you're just telling him exactly what he needs to do, receive the ball, lay it off to here, I think he's really good and good for De Zerbi's system. Unfortunately, under a Frank, it was a case of he was asked to sort of pick up the ball and create from deeper positions. And when you sort of give him that weird freedom, it doesn't work. I think he's a sort of player that needs those instructions like De Zerbi has and Conte has. So I think he could do well here under De Zerbi, so keep for that reason. Kinski, What a turnaround he's had. And another one that probably most fans would have said sell after the Atletico Madrid game. But my God, has he turned things around since Vicario's injury and actually been one of our better players since De Zerbi's come in. So no, absolutely would keep him now. Whether he's ready to be number one full-time, I don't know. I think we will target other goalkeepers. But look, he's definitely done enough to warrant staying in the squad for those performances in keeping us up at the end of the season. So yeah, definitely keep. Ben Davies is a weird situation because his contract's technically up, but there's a lot of chat online about us extending his contract, which I don't personally get. I know the reasons why they're doing it. It's because he's potentially going to become a coach afterwards in like the next year. But when you're just thinking of the squad as a whole, it just doesn't make sense. It almost feels like a wasted space because we're bringing Robertson in for a free. You've got a doggy. You're bringing in Senesi to be a backup for Van der Ven. Or even rotate with Van der Ven. So then you begs the question, like, where does Davis fit in all this? It feels like we're offering him a player contract just so he can stay one more year ready to become a coach afterwards, which, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a waste to me. Like, yes, I want to keep him here as a coach. He's a very, very clever guy. He knows the club inside out. I can definitely see that working. I just don't understand why we would necessarily keep him around from a football perspective, even if it is like from the dressing room. I mean, he can do that as a coach, you know what I mean? So, look, this is my list. I know he's going to stay for one more year if the rumours are true about him extending the contract, but I personally would put him in the sell category in terms of letting him go at the end of his contract and then just bring him back as a coach once he's done with football in the next year or two. Mickey Van der Ven, the boy. Keep. Again, someone who's changed completely this year. I think under Frank, he just completely lost it. He was so checked out. I think we all were, to be honest with you. And it looked like he was going this summer with the way things were going, especially teetering on relegation. But he looks like he loves De Zerbi. De Zerbi loves him and said he wants him as the captain potentially. So between him and Maddison, I imagine, after we sell Romero. So look, definite keep. I think he's an athletic dynamite at centre-back. There's no reason to sell him now. And I don't think we would sell him out of choice. It's more if he forced the move. But looks like he wants to stay as well. So yeah, keep Van der Ven. Sousa, we've got too many left backs now, and especially if we're going to trigger another year for Ben Davis. Is then what, Ben Davis or Doggy Robertson all at left back. I mean, he made good cameos at right wing for under Tudor against Liverpool, but look, he's one of those ones where we signed him in January, tried to get Robertson the next day, which clearly told you he's not quite ready. But I think a loan is probably the smartest thing for him. Let him learn the trade maybe at another Premier League club, maybe one of the newly promoted clubs, whether it's a Coventry. I mean, I don't know what their squads are saying right now, but maybe a Coventry or even like a whole City, like learn the grit of the Premier League at one of those clubs and see how he conducts himself. But yeah, I don't see a world where we should keep him next year, but I wouldn't sell him after 6 months when we've barely seen him. So definitely a loan for me. I'm going to talk about Colin Mawani as well, just because I did the same for Palinho earlier, but it's one of those I just would not trigger it. I'll put him in the sell category in the terms of like, do not buy him back because, yeah, he did not reach any sort of expectations that we had of him at the start of the season. So a failed loan, wouldn't keep, therefore I'll put him in sell. You know what I mean. Brandon Austin, third choice goalkeeper, not really much to it. Easy keep. Luka Vuskovic is a hot topic debated at Spurs right now as to whether we should keep him and start him at centre-back. Some people are saying sell if people offered you like 85 million for him. I mean, the kid's not played football a single minute for Spurs competitively. So I think personally we should, loan him out for one more year. Loan him out for one more year because look, if we were to keep him and we did sign Van Hecke, he would be what? He would be behind him. He might even be behind Danzo. Like, he's a sort of player that is so sought after and so young. He needs game time. So maybe we loan him back so he could play with his brother or whether it's at another club. I do not think we should sell him before we've even seen him in a Spurs shirt. I definitely know that for a fact. I think the options were you either kept him to start him or you loan him out. And I think if we're bringing in other centre-backs, a loan makes the most sense for one more year and then start integrating him in the squad. I don't think a loan will do him any harm whatsoever. And also that probably means if we do loan him out, he'll sign a new contract more long term. So yeah, I think that's the best option. Yang Min-kyuk, I didn't really understand the signing at the time. He looked like he could be a bit of a tricky player and was like really good as a rookie in the Korean league. But look, I'd loan him out for one more year, but I wouldn't be too remiss if we actually decided to sell him. I from what I've seen so far, I don't think he will have the quality to be at the level that we'll need in the squad. Mano Solomon, just sell. I don't even know if he's at end of contract or what, but either way, I wouldn't keep him next season. I think we just need to move on from some of these players we've had for a while. I don't think we should keep him. Move him on. bring in some new wingers. Savinho, maybe another winger as well, and Dye. I mean, there's so many options. We'll get into that in another video, but yeah, I think sell/release. I actually don't know when his contract ends, to be honest. Ashley Phillips, a lot of promise when we signed him from Blackburn. We haven't seen it. He's been loaned out most of the time. I would say another loan just because he's not going to get game time with the centre-backs we have in no European football. So I'd say another loan. But do you know what? I would not be surprised if we sell him. But me personally, I would say loan. See how that goes. Ideally to a Premier League team. I want to see if he can take the step up from the Championship. And we'll see how he goes from there. If it doesn't quite work out, then maybe we'll reassess next year. But loan for now. Alejo Feliz. Sell. I mean, or release. I don't even know. Again, I don't know what his contract situation is, but I imagine he's still got a year or two left. I'd say sell. One of those players that we probably saw as like another Alvarez, this really promising young striker from Argentina, and just didn't work out that way. So I think best for all parties, sell him, get a little bit of cash in, which I think there's already potentially an agreement underway somewhere. But yeah, either way, I think it's best for him to move on. Oh, Alfie Devine. So much promise when we got him from Wigan and raided them when they had the financial issues. But he's a player that I look at, and he was like one of the most sought after like young English players at the time at around 16 years old. And, he did well in the FA Cup when we had Gareth Bale as well against, I think it was Marine. But just one that's not really had a sniff in the first team at all. So look, I think Preston North End have a buy option of 4.5 million, which seems incredibly low to me and looks like might get triggered. So that's just a big signal to me that he's just not really going to play for us again. So I personally would loan him out again, but I do see a world in which he gets sold this summer. Kota Takai was a strange centre-back signing because I think it was the record signing for a Japanese player. I think it was more than Matoma. He came in and got injured straight away. Then we loaned him out in January, and I think the loan's been pretty poor. So look, I can't say I've been that impressed so far. I mean, he's a Japanese international player, and he's still young, so he could become good. But with the amount of centre-back signings we're making, there's no way he fits in this squad. So I'd go for another loan for now and see where he develops some other club. Dane Scarlett. Dane Scarlett. He's had flashes of like he's come on in the Europa League and he's scored goals here and there, but then sometimes he just doesn't get a sniff again elsewhere. And I think he's so many like small opportunities the last few years, but nothing quite so big. And I think with one of the youngsters between him and Will Lancashire, who to be fair is going to be the next player on the list, so I'll talk about him briefly as well. I think it'll be good for us to keep one of them for next year. I think we'll keep Solanke, sell Richarlison, and we'll need a third youth player that we could integrate in the squad in case there were injuries or anything like that. And for me personally, off the back of a really good loan to the Championship last year, I know they got relegated, but he scored quite a few goals, I would keep Will Lancashire. So I'd keep Will Lancashire as like the third striker in the squad, and I personally would loan out Dane Scarlett again, or at least until January. And then if it's not working, he's not getting game time, you can easily loan him out in January then, but I'd keep Will Lancashire. And finally, I believe that moves on to Mikey Moore, someone who was on loan to Rangers and started off a little bit ropey under Russell Martin and got a lot better. Now, he's been playing kind of left wing, but almost drifting inwards as kind of like a number 10, and a lot of the chatter from coaches and stuff is that he seems to be better as a 10 and like kind of in those positions, more inside the pitch as opposed to like a touchline winger. Again, because we haven't got Europe and enough space to rotate with a bunch of 10s, and even if, say, we do pull off a miracle and get Gibbs White, that'll be another one added to the list. Maybe things will change on a pre-season, who knows? But for now, I would say loan him, whether that's back to Rangers or another Premier League club. I'd say give him one more year on loan and then integrate him next season. This is how our squad would look, with some missing gaps in areas that we need to bring players in. I've included Senesi and Robertson because I think those deals are pretty much done. But there are other positions we need to fill. I think Savinho is almost there as well. There are still areas like striker. We could do with another right winger. Maybe a 10 comes in, but I think the priority's got to be more the centre mids, like a deep line playmaker, a 6. That sort of ilk, and potentially a new number 1. So in the next few videos, I'm going to go through each position and give my top 5 players for each position for us that we could sign this summer or should sign this summer. So please make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.